Hello, and welcome to the Dr. Toomer Talk Show. I'm Dr. Catherine Toomer, and I am a family medicine and community health physician, founder of Total Weight Care Institute, and also the creator of Your Light Wellness and Weight Care, which is a telemedicine, national telemedicine, um, telehealth a group of physicians who help people with their metabolic health, particularly around weight loss and GLP-1 medications. So if you're listening, please let me know where you're listening from. Say hello and let me know where you're listening. And if you're listening later, put in hashtag replay and still let me know where you're listening. Um, I have my email running along the bottom, so I will come back to that later. So if you have questions, you can ask me at the end. I do a Q&A at the end of all of my lives. And but if you have a question later, or if you want it to be more private, you can always write to me to my email. So I'm going to move the banner so that it stops running along the bottom. All right. So again, I'm Dr. Catherine Toomer, and we are here to talk about how to get ready for 2026. Now, everyone knows, even though we try not to do it, we still set New Year's resolutions. We start thinking about the end of the year and what we're going to do at the beginning of next year. And so this is a good time to start planning about how you're going to do things. But before I continue, I'm going to say hello. Thank you for joining me from Barbados. Hello, Marcy. And hello from Orlando. So, last week we actually had an international crowd. I think we had someone from France, from Barbados, from the Bahamas, from where else? There were a couple of people from it was from all over the world, and so it was really and from England, I think. So anyway, it was really quite nice. So when preparing for to do anything, it's always really important to plan. I always say if you fail to plan, plan to fail. So when it comes to a method that I used, and I'll give a little background. So in 2021, I was a full-time physician, just had a baby, was on insulin. I was a diabetic on insulin, and I had class 3 obesity, and then went into congestive heart failure from my pregnancy, and at the time was told I had a 50% chance of living 5 years. I knew I had to do something. I was desperate. My life depended on it. My children having a mother depended on it. But when I tried to get help for what I felt was the only thing I could control, which was my diabetes and my weight, no one would help me because they were more concerned about my heart, rightly so. And there you go. Um, and so what happened was that um, I needed to have a program that I could follow to get my health in order. Thankfully, my husband is also a physician, and we just kind of put our heads together. We really tried to work hard to figure out what I could do. But as you can imagine, having a newborn, having, two, three, pretty serious chronic conditions at the same time, I was excessively tired. And anything I did could not make me more tired. And so everything we did was the bare minimum we could get away with in order to get the results we needed. And I thought, I'm onto something because it worked. Within 6 months, I was off insulin. Within 6 months, I had lost 60 pounds just from doing little things because I couldn't exercise because my heart wouldn't allow it. So it had to be, metabolic control in some other way. And so we started realizing that there's some little things that happen that had big impacts. And so later, when I used my same program that I created for my patients, I'm like, I need to give this thing a name. And so the MEMO method was born. And MEMO stands for minimal effort for maximal outcome. And one of the things I realized with my patients and why I've had so much success with them is because it's not difficult. I've had so many people tell me this is just too easy. I've had other people tell me, I'm not really doing anything. How is this working? I'm not doing anything. Well, so we're going to talk about why this is so important. When you do things in a difficult way, often what ends up happening, you push yourself to the limit and then you stop and then you end up behind where you were before. Example of this is, suppose you're on one side of a room and you see someone that you've been waiting for years to talk to on the another side of the room. And so you see this person, you want to talk to them, and so you sprint as fast as you can to get to the other side of the room. Problem is, by the time you got there, you're so winded you couldn't talk. And so the person you're trying to talk to is sort of standing there saying, sorry, when you catch your breath, we'll talk. So as you're trying to catch your breath, other people are lining up and talking to this person, people who walked over. Now, instead of sprinting over, what if you had walked over? So yeah, you got there in 1 minute, but then it took you 20 minutes to recover, and say that person left after 15. So you never got a chance to speak. What if you walked over slowly and it took you 4 minutes to walk over? You waited in a line for maybe 2 minutes, and that's 6 minutes total. And then you have a chance to have that conversation. So instead of sprinting for 1 minute and not being able to do anything when you got there, you took your time and used as little effort as possible walking and waited, and it took you 6 minutes, a lot longer, but you got the results you wanted. This is the exact same thing. When you do things in slow, small increments that are easy to maintain, you get there eventually. Slow and steady wins the race is an actual thing when it comes to your health, because there's no such place as your health. You're constantly doing things for the rest of your life. I do a lot of weight management, a lot of metabolic care, because that's what saved my life. I got my metabolic health in order. I was able to get off insulin. And as a result of getting my metabolic health in order, my other metabolic condition reversed itself. And that was my obesity. So I still have class 3 obesity. Well, let me put it this way. I still have obesity. I'm just in remission, if that makes sense. So even if I stop doing all the little things that I learned to do over the years, my weight will come back. The disease is still there. It's just been controlled. And that is exactly how I help people. So when someone comes to me and they say, I really want to get rid of my joint pain. I have pain and it hurts. And when we look at all the reasons that they have pain, one of them may be metabolic and therefore causing inflammation and then causing the pain. Others it could be because of that metabolic condition. They also have extra weight, which puts too much weight on their joints. And so we need to address that. But then there also could be that their muscles aren't as strong as they should be around the joint. And so therefore, there's another issue. So we hit all three. But if you do all of those things really, really fast and really, really stressfully, or just go all out, if any one of them fails, they all fail. And so you try to hit as many sides as one time. So with this particular person, it just so happened that GLP-1 medications hit several of the things. GLP-1 helps with inflammation by controlling blood sugar. The side effect of GLP-1 medication is weight loss or fat loss, which again is from controlling blood sugar. The GLP-1 also made muscle work more efficient because now muscles weren't competing against a metabolic process. So all exercise became more efficient. But instead of going to the gym every single day, trying to get to the gym and doing an hour and a half of, muscle work and squats and all these things, started with 5 minutes a day. And no, we didn't. It wasn't the same as giving a pain medicine that makes pain go away right away. But of course, it doesn't stay away. The way we did it, it did stay away. And so within 6 months to a year, weight was down, inflammation was way down, muscle was up, and pain was gone. And it's been maintained because it was all done in little itty bitty increments, minimal effort for maximal outcome. And I am a perfect example of how that works. I am 60 years old. I was 36 years old when I was diagnosed. I was told that I had a 50% chance of living 5 years, and yet I'm still here. My numbers aren't that great, actually, but I'm healthy. How is that? Because I don't have to do a lot to maintain my health or maintain where I am right now, because I've figured out the small things that keep me going. And I know that there are certain things that I can do daily or not do daily that help. Um, I like things that kill two birds with one stone. Big fan of those things. And I spend a lot of time studying for where I can find those things. GLP-1s, one of the reasons why I use GLP-1s so much is because they hit many birds with one stone. They're just a good medication. A lot of the complications we see with GLP-1s are really people misusing them in the quest for thinness, not really in the quest for metabolic control. Anytime we use them properly for metabolic control, we do not see those complications. In fact, I've never, in 15 years that I've been prescribing GLP-1s, I've never seen those complications at all. But even like, for example, if you have heart disease and you just simply cannot do things in very strenuous amounts. You have to do things slowly, but that slowness may seem like it's not getting you anywhere, but eventually it does. It's like putting one step in front of the other. Eventually you're going to get where you're going. It's just and it works in the exact same way when it comes to making changes. So when you're preparing for next year and you're preparing to, say, okay, I want to get healthy, which really it's a very ubiquitous goal. Be more specific. You want to be able to walk 3 miles at a time. Be very specific about your goals. We talked about SMART goals in the past. It's everywhere. So if you want to look it up, SMART goals, SMART, basically it's a way of developing a habit or creating a change or transformation in a way that it could stick. And SMART goals basically are everywhere. Anybody, so you can look it up. I'm not going to go through them all right now. So, and so, what happens? And one of the reasons why a lot of my patients are older, are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, are because the way I do things are so gentle on the system that it doesn't really matter what age someone is, because you always meet someone where they are. And so that is the MEMO method: minimal effort for maximal outcome. It's sort of like also the difference between uh, sweating something. This is a cooking reference: sweating onions versus sauteing onions versus searing onions. If you don't want your onions to burn, it's better just to sweat them. How do you do that? Low heat, long time. If you want them to burn, high heat, short time. Which is favorable? Which is going to give you the flavor you want? Slow burn, long time. Same thing. MEMO method is essentially the same thing. It's a slow burn, consistent slow burn that gets you the results you want, that gets you what you want. And so for those of you who have trying to figure out how you can do this for yourself, and that's essentially what I do. I create plans for people to do to make the transformations they need. And everyone's transformation is different. Everyone needs a different transformation and needs to get there in a different way. Some people have a car to get to where they want to go. Other people have a bicycle. Some have nothing. And that's fine. You're all going to get to the same place. It just takes a different amount of time, different amount of effort, or different tools that we use. But we all get there in the end. And so you can write to me at help@drtoomer.com if you need help. And or you can write to me there and ask me questions, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is being broadcast live into my YouTube channel, so you can subscribe there. And there are many, many more videos. Actually, I think over 300 videos and shorts there now. So if you want to, you can go through some of them and find things that you may need. So if you have any questions, I hope this made sense. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. And I see a comment here. Sometimes the slowness seems to make you want to give up because it looks like you're not achieving anything. That's really true. And that's why it's really important to have things that you can measure that are things that, so keeping journals is really important when you're in a transformation, because when things are done slowly, when things are done, it's really easy to not notice the change. You know, how many times have, you know, you've been on a health journey and all of a sudden someone's like, oh, what have you been doing to your skin? And you're like, oh yeah, actually the stuff I've been using every day, all of a sudden I'm starting to notice, but you forgot what you looked like before. So that's why we take photos before and after. We do this for ourselves, we do this for other people. You know, it's always a good idea. Like we, you know, take a picture of your face, use a product for 2 months, and then take your picture again. And the reason it's really important is because real transformation, real health changes are slow. And so, what I say, for example, if you're trying to lose weight, scale is not the best way of measuring whether you're losing weight or not, or whether you're doing it in a healthy way. It's your waist shrinking. And sometimes what happens when your whole body shrinks and your stomach is the last to shrink, it may look like your stomach's actually getting bigger in relationship to everything else. But when you measure, you realize it's smaller than before. And that's why you try to find ways that you can measure without relying on your memory, because our memory is notoriously bad for trying to figure out whether something's changed. So if you know you're trying to sleep more, every day, write down how many hours, what time you got in the bed, what time you woke up. And then you may think, oh, I'm not getting any more sleep. But then when you go back a few months and you look what time you went to bed and what time you got up, you're like, oh, wow, I actually have been getting more sleep. So it's that you find ways of measuring and document them, because otherwise your brain's going to play tricks on you. The other is the benefits aren't always seen, they're felt. And the benefits need to be felt, but only if you're paying attention. Perfect example, I went to my doctor. I had a doctor's appointment today, and she asked me, so how's your hip? And I'm like, my hip. She goes, the last time you were here, you're complaining about hip pain. And I was like, really? I forgot. Completely forgot. Because I wasn't having it. So, but if someone had said, oh, you're getting you're getting more muscular, your joints are getting healthier, I would have just like, not really. Because I forgot that I was having joint problems 6 months ago. So always measure, always write things down. Your brain will play tricks on you. So if you have any questions, now's a good time to ask. If you think of any later, you can write to me at help@drtoomer.com. I'll put the banner along the bottom again, since I have it. And if you, and then of course, share my videos with anyone that you think this may be helpful for. Or if you have questions about this or anything else, because it is, or anything specific to you, if you don't mind sharing. No? Okay. I know we're getting close to the end of the year. This is a time when everyone starts getting really busy. And so, do I have a book of the MEMO method? I will soon. I do have videos of it. I think I have a PDF attached to that video. And so if you look in my YouTube channel, because I talk about this a lot. So if you go to my YouTube channel, it will, you can find it there. And I already know that there are some people working with me watching and reading who are going to see that and say, see, I told you. So yes, there will be a book on the MEMO method. It's what, well, on my whole method, because I use it integrated into many things that I do, but it's so individualized that one of the things I'm working on with the MEMO method in print is trying to get it where people can create an individualized plan without me attached. Right now, it takes my brain to sort of take your information, process it, and give it back to you. I need to be able to put it in a way so that when you answer questions, when you fill things out, it gives you the answer you need in order to know what to do next. And that, to do it correctly, it takes some time. So I've been working on that for some time. Hello, Denise from Pennsylvania. Thank you for joining. We were just talking about the MEMO method, which is the minimal effort for maximal outcome. It is a wonderful way of creating transformation, creating change without getting overwhelmed, because that is essentially where I was when I created the method, what I've used to now lose well over 110 pounds. I'm not sure exactly how much I've lost because I stopped weighing myself at my heaviest. And I am no longer on insulin. There was a time when I was off all medication for my diabetes. As I got older and as I went through menopause, I had to go back on medicine because, as I've told you many times before, menopause is actually a metabolic issue. Well, it affects our metabolic status. And so my metabolic status changed. And so at 60 years old, as you can imagine, I'm postmenopausal. So any other questions? Nope. All right. Well, thank you for joining. Again, I'm Dr. Catherine TOOMER. This is the Dr. TOOMER Talk Show. And so that you know, this is the last show for 2025. Thank you for joining me through 2025. Some of you have been here every single week, and I appreciate that more than you know. And I will be back January 13th, which is the second week of January, for the Tuesday, 6 p.m. live. And next year, one of the things that will be changing, I'm going to start interviewing some experts on different topics. So you don't only have to hear from me. I have some really, really, really smart friends, smarter than I am in a lot of topics. So I'm going to start interviewing them. And I'm also going to bring in some of the people that I've been helping who have been asking me, where can we tell people about what you've done? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll let you come here. This is the best place to do it. So you'll get to hear stories directly from people who I've worked with, which I haven't really done before. So you don't have to just hear from me. All right. Well, good night. Have a good evening. Thank you, Marcy. Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays if you celebrate or even if you don't. Thank you for coming. Good night.